After an impressive victory over one of Australia's finest heavyweights, Joe Goodall, Justis Huni is definitely a part of the big league now. He showed some spectacular speed, stamina, and footwork in the fight, but surprisingly, the 23-year-old has failed to make a statement amongst critics. If we had to guess, it's probably because of his inability to score a knockout. Keep watching this video as we tell you everything about Huni's return and more about the world of boxing. First up, a lack of power. Honestly speaking, we don't really agree with the critics here. It was a pretty clear victory. All of the judges ruled the decision in Huni's favor, and that too by massive margins. The fight was scored 190, 98-92, and 98-93. So when you think about it, he pretty much dominated him on the scorecard. But critics are just fazed over the fact that Goodall was able to finish the fight on his feet. Like, what were you guys even expecting? Goodall leaving on a stretcher? And we also have to consider the fact that Justis Huni, aka JPH, literally made a comeback after a whole year of going without a fight. Not to mention he's also 6 years younger than Goodall. So we're guessing that extra experience kept Goodall good enough to stay on his feet despite getting whooped throughout the fight. You're probably wondering though, Huni dominated him on the scorecard. He displayed excellent boxing skills. Then why didn't this victory sit well with the critics? Well, let's just say that 23-year-old doesn't pack enough power in his punch. Or at least that's what the pundits think. In fact, critics weren't really confident Justis would win when the fight was first announced. They thought his lack of power would render him useless against a rejuvenated Joe Goodall, but we think he managed to do just fine. Justis landed a crazy 194 punches in just 25 minutes, sealing Goodall's left eye for the night. That's like 7 deadly, on-target, and Herculean punches every minute. Just imagine eating 7 brutal punches after every single minute. Still think he doesn't have enough power? Anyway, it isn't like Justis is oblivious to the fact that pundits think he has no knockout power. After the convincing victory over heavyweight rival Joe, Justis admitted that he was unable to silence critics who say he lacks power. Up next, not looking for it. You know, just because Joe managed to finish the fight on his feet doesn't necessarily mean Justis has no knockout power. Like, who even came up with that? Have you seen the 23-year-old's right hand? It's solid, and if he's able to land that on target, it's game over for any heavyweight out there. But interestingly enough, JPH knows better than to go out and chase the knockout. I've been in the game for a long time. I'm not going out there to look for it. And by looking for it, he means looking for a knockout. So yeah, he's just one of those fighters who cares more about winning than anything else. Now, don't get us wrong. He has style. He has charisma. The way he floats inside the ring is amazing. And just because he couldn't knock Joe out doesn't mean we're going to act like a bunch of frustrated pundits. Yeah, sure, knockouts are really fun to watch. But if that's all you're looking for, why don't you just watch a vintage collection of Mike Tyson or Muhammad Ali? Because taking credit away from his win only to unload baseless comments on his punching power seems a bit personal to us. And just in case his lack of power wasn't enough for critics, how about 0 career losses? After his most recent win, Justis is now 6-0 in his professional boxing career. Talk about a start. Anyway, where critics were left unimpressed, boxing legends like Jeff Fenech saw his performance for what it really was. We're not saying Fenech didn't poke the bear and question Huni's power, but he also admitted that he was blown away by the combinations he can throw. For a 110-kilogram monster, Huni does move really fast. On the contrary, Fenech also added that Joe displays a level of skill far superior to any heavyweight he's seen in a long time. So technically speaking, the fact that JPH was able to beat a far superior boxer like Joe Goodall is another shut-up call for pundits. And now, home turf. Despite having his name whispered every now and then in world title conversations, Justis isn't really looking to go international just yet. He's actually trying to solidify his base back at home before he starts to make big moves towards a title fight. And it isn't like Huni's team isn't confident or something. They actually have Eddie Hearn on the stand as well. If you don't know Eddie yet, he's a really high-profile boxing promoter. And if you still can't recall who he is, well, let's just say he manages a boxing superstar, Anthony Joshua. So with someone like Eddie in the stands, going international isn't really an issue. Huni could get a fight in any city on the planet, but even his own promoter, Dean Lonergan, isn't interested in moving out of Australia just yet. We'll be the first to say it, his team is probably holding back because of his age. He's only 23 right now, and even though he's 6-0, you can never count out experience. If he wants the title, he'll have to go up against some of the meanest, baddest, and scariest heavyweights in the boxing scene. scene. But in case you're wondering who he might fight next, it's either going to be Australian champion Chris Terzievsky or New Zealand's Kiki Little. Next, in other related news, not going to wait anymore. WBO super welterweight champion Natasha Jones is tired of waiting for Hannah Rankin to agree to a fight. She's actually ready to move on and put her title on the line, but she wants to do it in September in her hometown of Liverpool. We're calling all of this a bluff. Truth is, she has to wait for Hannah. Want to know why? Well, Hannah has what Natasha wants the most, the WBA title belt. And we've heard Natasha on many occasions expressing her desire to take over the league and hold more than just one title. So you'd sort of figure that Hannah is naturally the perfect opponent for her. Just sign the contract already. We're tired of seeing you two battling it out on Twitter. Next, is this the end of the YouTube boxing era? Is Jake Paul really a boxer, or is he an entertainer? But the real question is he even good for boxing? He's easily the most controversial figure in the fight game right now. Think of it this way. What good of a boxer is Jake Paul if he can't even fight real boxers? Because we're sure all of us know how things will end the day Jake decides to take on a real boxer. Till now, he's fought a basketball player and some retired UFC fighters. Talk about a resume. The point of telling you all this? Well, it looks like Jake Paul will finally be getting a taste of a real boxer, as he's most probably going to be taking on Tommy Fury later this year. Now, Tommy isn't necessarily a proven boxer, but what matters is he's a real boxer. He understands boxing. He doesn't play basketball or fight inside the octagon. The guy beats people up for a living. So this is probably going to be the problem child's biggest challenge yet. And from the way things are looking, we think Jake Paul is finally about to lose that picture-perfect record of 0 losses. But hey, if Jake still wants to fight after that, we'd suggest he takes on other YouTubers instead of running after guys who have nothing to do with boxing. And finally, money. Remember a few months back when Tyson Fury floored Dillian Whyte at the Wembley Stadium and announced his retirement from boxing? Well, he didn't exactly say he wouldn't fight again. In fact, he expressed interest in a fight against UFC heavyweight champion Francis Ngannou the same night. And even though that fight might happen in the boxing ring, it won't exactly be boxing since it'll have hybrid rules. But what if we told you that the Gypsy King is ready to return to boxing provided he gets a really fat check in exchange? In an interview with Queensberry Promotions, Fury said that he's 100% ready to return to boxing, but it's going to cost a lot. Talking to Frank Warren, he said all anyone had to do was show him the money, and he'd be back in a jiffy making some huge moves all over again. And while we're all aware of Fury's exceptional boxing skills, we sometimes tend to forget how good this guy is at promoting himself. He talked about how he'd come out of retirement if it meant redeeming his country in exchange for a really big checkbook. Only Tyson can make coming back from retirement sound like World War III. That's it from our side, folks. So what did you think of Honey's performance against rival Joe Goodall? Do you think JPH packs enough power to take on some of the greatest heavyweights of this era? Let us know in the comments below. Remember, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more exciting videos in the future. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.